Her gaze locked with mine, steady and unwavering, when she declared, "We're finished." There was no tremor in her tone, no space for negotiation, only cold certainty. I gathered my belongings and walked away. Weeks later, I found myself under the same roof as her cousin. Now my phone vibrates almost endlessly with her attempts to reach me, yet I let each call fade into silence. There hadn't been an explosive argument, no shouting or tears, not even the clatter of plates against the floor. What stung most was the lack of drama, the ordinary simplicity of it all. It was a Tuesday, indistinguishable from any other, when it happened. We sat across from one another at the kitchen table. She held her mug between her hands, scrolling through her phone without glancing up. Then, casually, as though she were commenting on the weather, she said, "I'm done with this. It's over." I froze, my chest tightening. "What are you saying?" I asked, though I already knew. Finally, she looked up. Her eyes were stripped of affection, her voice empty of conflict or remorse. "This isn't what I want anymore. You need to leave." That was it. No explanation, no conversation, just a flat decree, as though I'd been dismissed from her life like an afterthought. I could have pleaded, demanded some reason, but what would that change? Why cling to someone who had already decided I wasn't worth holding on to? So, I walked into the bedroom, pulled out a suitcase, and began packing in silence. My hands moved on instinct, but my mind was a storm, racing over the question of where I'd go. My friends didn't have space, and my parents lived hours away. Then, Leia, her cousin, came to mind. Leia and I had only crossed paths at family events. She always struck me as genuine, someone who listened with care and carried an easy warmth. Calling her felt like a long shot. "This is sudden, but I need a place to stay," I said when she picked up. Without hesitation, she replied, "Come here. Stay as long as you need." That same evening, suitcase in tow, I stood at her door. She opened it with a smile that was both welcoming and reassuring. "Make yourself at home," she said, then, almost in a whisper, added, "She was a fool to let you go." At first, her apartment was simply a refuge, a temporary shelter until I figured things out. But Leia insisted I take the spare room, not the couch. Slowly, we settled into a rhythm. She brewed coffee each morning and left a mug waiting for me. I cooked dinner a few nights each week. Our evenings were filled with conversation, movies, work, favorite songs. Bit by bit, those chats grew deeper. One night we lingered on the couch until 2 in the morning, a half-empty bottle of wine between us. We shared confessions about old loves and regrets that still lingered. At one point, she looked at me, her expression steady, and said, "You deserve more than the way she discarded you." Her words hit with quiet force, and I knew she was right. A week after I'd moved in, my phone lit up with my ex's name. I stared at the screen, heart racing, before letting it ring out. Moments later, a text arrived. "We need to talk." I ignored it. The following day, she called again. This time, I answered. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice flat. "I heard you're staying with Leia," she said, her tone carrying an edge I couldn't quite name. Frustration. That was all I felt. "So what?" I shot back. "I don't think that's fair." I let out a small laugh. "Why do you even care? You're the one who walked away." She hesitated, her voice dropping after a long silence. "It just doesn't sit right with me." Then she hung up. From that point on, her calls became routine. Every day. Sometimes her tone was sharp, full of accusation. "You're making a huge mistake." Other times, it dripped with nostalgia. "Remember our trip to the beach last summer?" It wasn't about wanting me back. No, it was about her need to keep a hold on me, to make sure I didn't move forward, especially not with her cousin. But while she tried to pull me back, my connection with Leia kept growing. She was quick-witted, empathetic, and for the first time in a long while, I felt seen. Really seen. Something my ex had never been able to offer. 2 weeks in, Leia and I went out for dinner. Not officially a date, but the spark between us was undeniable. Maybe it had always been there, but I was too hurt before to notice. Later that night, back at her place, we leaned against the kitchen counter, talking for hours. At one point, She looked at me and said softly, "I'm glad you're here. I hope you stick around." The way she said it carried more weight than just an invitation to stay. 3 days later, there was a knock at Leia's door. We were in the middle of a movie when the sound cut through. I opened it and found my ex standing there, arms folded, eyes blazing. "Can we talk?" she demanded. I stepped outside, shutting the door behind me. "What's this about?" "This thing with Leia, it's wrong." I couldn't help but laugh in disbelief. "You ended things. You told me to leave. You don't get to decide who I'm with now." Her jaw clenched. "She's family. And you thought throwing me out wouldn't change anything." I shot back. For the first time, she looked like she understood. She had lost her grip on me. Without another word, she turned and left. Still, the calls didn't stop. Every day, her name lit up my phone. I stopped picking up. Leia reminded me I didn't owe her answers. Not anymore. And she was right. My life wasn't hers to control. As weeks passed, Leia and I grew closer, our bond deepening beyond just living together. We weren't rushing anything, but there was a foundation of trust, of warmth, something real. If someone had told me a month ago that I'd be living with my ex's cousin, I would have laughed. Yet here I am, happier than I've been in years, with someone who truly appreciates me. Meanwhile, my ex is still stuck, calling, wrestling with the fact that I've moved forward. Letting go isn't easy, but it was necessary. She said our chapter was finished. I believed her. And now I'm with someone who makes me feel alive, while she's the one left struggling to let go.